Well, hello, hello, hello once again, and welcome back to another episode of the Summer Spotlight 2020. I am your host, Gayle Nicholson. Thank you so much for joining me again today. We are back again and having a great time at it. Wow, this week has been quite interesting, and it's only Tuesday. So I'm very, very happy that you're with us. If you are watching on Facebook, please give us a like, give us a heart, make a comment. If we are able to see it, we will mention it throughout the show. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. We are growing fast, and I would really appreciate you being along for the ride. Alrighty. So today I get to introduce you to a very fine gentleman who I've been um, hunting down for this, I should say, for the last couple of weeks. We've been ready to go on this, and something came up for him, and then something came up for me. So I finally wrestled him into submission, and he's here to tell you about his book. So let us welcome, please, Mr. James McNeil, author of Finding Your Personal Mission and founder of the Inspirational Connection. Thank you so much for joining me here today, James. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. It is a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for saying so. Oh, well, we've got a lot to cover. I want to know everything. I mean, this book that you've written is, from what I hear from people who have downloaded it and read it, it's really pretty amazing what you endured and went through, and you're still standing here or sitting here, as the case may be. So tell me, what happened that made you finally write the book, um, even after all of the things that you experienced, It's hard enough to come back from that, but writing the book, why did you do that?
In 2017, September of 2017, I came very close to what would have been a third suicide attempt. Uh, that the night that happened, it was September 10th, 2017. It's the night that Hurricane Irma made landfall. That night, I was sitting at my desk in my home office with a bottle of pills in my hand, saying, maybe I should just take this whole bottle. There's a bottle of sleeping pills. You know what that would have done to me. I knew what that would have done to me, but I wasn't thinking about that. That night, somehow, by some miracle, I found the strength to reach out to a friend who gave me the best advice I've ever received. And that advice became my phrase, the phrase I use all the time. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing a shirt that says it now. Your story is not over yet.
Nice.
That is my mantra. Your story is not over yet. There's one that says my story is not over yet. But the concept is still the same. You don't have to quit. The Over the next several weeks, I began to start really focusing on the obstacles that I had to overcome. Imposter syndrome, anger issues. I had to learn to forgive myself. I had to learn what it meant to forgive myself. Those obstacles, once I was able to fully overcome those, and I say fully overcome those, but I'm still working on those today. Once I got to that point, then I said, this is something that other people need as well. Suicide is an epidemic in our nation. I talk about veteran suicide, but it's not just veterans committing suicide. There are people from all walks of life, students, uh, police, rescue, first responders, LGBT, professional teachers, and professionals in general, business owners. This is everyone that faces this. So if you are or know someone who is dealing with suicidal issues, suicidal thoughts, don't think because I'm a veteran and I talk to veterans that this doesn't apply. This can help you too.
Excellent. Yes, it very much does. Depression does not discriminate. It has
Yeah.
equal opportunity in every human being, unfortunately. And yes, there are certain paths in life that can puts you, I guess, at higher risk of it, but everybody's susceptible, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. So, what is the focus of finding your personal mission? Do you get gory into details of what happened during the first two attempts?
No, as a matter of fact, I don't even talk about those. I tell people that I make sure people understand that I am a two-time suicide survivor, but I don't want to draw attention to this is how I did it, because that could give someone ideas. Well, maybe I'll do it that way, but you messed up, I'll do it better. I don't want to do that. The concept, the focus of the book is overcoming the obstacles. As you open the book, I have a book in front of me. This was actually signed to one of my best friends named Chris. So ignore that part. The very first thing you're going to see is your story is not over yet. And from the very first word, this is an encouraging and uplifting book that is designed to help you to see that you can overcome these obstacles. From there, I go into the obstacles. Imposter syndrome has two chapters because it's such a huge issue. Anger issues, attitude. It's a very tough thing for me to say. I have an attitude problem. Not many people will actually admit that, but I've been forced to admit that. Then going on to how do you overcome these things? The maybe you're afraid of failing. How do you get over that that fear of failure? Because you're going to fail. You're going to fall on your face. That's being human. It's not being a fake. It's not being a fraud. That's just being human. Once you do fall on your face, how do you make your next steps? That's the concept of the book, is building on each step before it, and how do you overcome these obstacles?
Nice. It sounds like it's a good recipe for building self confidence where maybe it's a little bit frayed.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, which one of the chapters was most challenging for you to write?
The anger issues chapter, anger issues and forgiveness chapter. Um, as a matter of fact, yesterday, and I wrote this book a while back. I published this book in May. So when I say this, I don't want you to be thinking that I'm not done this. These are things I do daily. But yesterday I had a little bit of a hiccup, and I started thinking of some of the things I've done, some of the mistakes I've made, and I started getting a little down on myself. You're probably thinking the same thing. I made this mistake this a long time ago, and you know when you're about to go to sleep, it's when your brain reminds you of every mistake and everything you've done wrong since you were born. I was wide awake when this happened, and I started getting a little down on myself. And I picked up the book and I literally read through chapter three. Chapter three is the book on anger. And one of the things that I had put in there that I had to read again personally is that if you're angry with your past self, you need to forgive your past self. Because if you refuse to forgive anyone, including you yesterday, including you 10 years ago, if you refuse to forgive someone, what you're doing is allowing that person to hold your peace hostage.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Your peace is too valuable to give to anyone else.
Say that
Forgiving
again.
them frees your peace. Your peace is too valuable to give to anyone else. Forgiving that person frees your peace.
That is awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I agree 100% with you, and it's rare for me to hear a new perspective or a new way of putting things, but that really went, goosebumps through me. It's very, very powerful. Awesome stuff.
I've said that easily 100 times to different people, and every time I say it, I get goosebumps. So I feel you.
Right? Right? So the anger was one of the chapters that was difficult, and forgiveness. Are those? Forgive me for not having read the book already, but are those the same chapter, or are they two separate chapters?
It's the same chapter.
Excellent.
Forgiveness is how you deal with your anger issues.
Gotcha. Yes, agreed. Agreed. That's phenomenal. Now, which one was the easiest one to write?
The easiest, the easiest one to write actually came from a speech I gave in Toastmasters several years ago. It's called "Watch Success and Grow." As a child, I'm sure you understand, we we've been taught never make the same mistake twice. My father used to say never pay for the same real estate twice, but it's the same concept. Always learn from your mistakes, which is smart. Everyone should.
Mm-hmm.
But this goes beyond that, and it goes beyond the next step of learn from the mistakes of other people.
Mm-hmm.
You want to learn from your own mistakes, and you want to learn from the mistakes of other people. But you're on a venture. If you're trying to overcome suicidal ideations, you're on I say an adventure, but you're on a process that you want to succeed. If you want to succeed, you need to learn from other people's successes. There are other people who have gone exactly down the road you're going right now. Find them. Find someone like myself. Find someone like Sean Douglas, Richard Kaufman, dear friends of mine who have dealt with suicidal thoughts and almost done it themselves or tried to do it themselves. They have overcome this. I have overcome this. Find someone who has done it, learn what they did right. Do that. That's the watch success and grow concept. Find someone who has succeeded in doing what you want to do and do that.
That's brilliant stuff. It's very interesting because I thought you were going to go in a different direction with it than you did, and what you said was absolutely brilliant. But one of the places that I've noticed that we do tend to get stuck is that picking up that lesson that I think it was presented to me like smart people learn from their mistakes, wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So of course, I want to be a little smarty pants wise person here. So I watch everybody else for where they failed, and if they failed, I don't try. Now, how messed up is that?
And in some cases that does work. I mean, you won't watch someone jump off a cliff. That didn't work. I'm not doing that.
Right?
Um,
But
but
like my
if you see
parents were in
someone,
business for themselves, and they didn't do very well. So of course you know, I don't have the frame of reference of how to do it successfully. Is I guess what I'm saying. So I step back and go, if they couldn't do it, I can't do it, which is not good. Not good at all.
exactly. The question becomes, who can do it?
Hmm. Very
Um,
good.
in the, I make a few biblical references, and in this one is one of the biblical references I use. There was a king in Israel named King Josiah. King Josiah's father was so evil that his own servants killed him. King Josiah's grandfather was so evil, he was considered by biblical scholars to be the most evil king in Israel's history. He, according to the Bible, filled Jerusalem with blood. It was that bad.
Okay.
King Josiah comes in at 8 years old. Who's he going to be like? People say he's going to be like his father. He's going to be like his grandfather. But he made a choice. They messed up. I'm going to find someone to emulate that didn't mess up. So he went back to King David and said, I want to be like him. King David wasn't perfect. He messed up a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
But he got things right. And he said, where he got it right, I want to get it right. And that's why I tell people, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your influence.
Mm,
Who's influencing you? Who are you looking to? That's the question.
that's excellent. Absolutely excellent. Now, which one of the chapters was your favorite one to write?
My favorite chapter was the one on the fear of failure.
Okay.
Um, but it's called The Secret Ingredient to Success. And I've given this speech, I still give this speech a lot, where I ask people if you could have success as a recipe, what would be the secret ingredient to success? And I get all kinds of answers. Usually someone will say money, and I would say that's not so secret. Time, talent, determination.
Mhm.
I said the secret ingredient is something that hides in plain sight so effectively you'll never even know it's there. And it's the ingredient of failure. Because on your journey to success, you're going to fail. In the blog that I have at jamesmcneilauthor.com, on the blog, one of my blog posts, I said, if your task that you are trying to accomplish, you can do successfully your first time, then you can go bigger. And you need to go bigger because you haven't grown if you can do it successfully your first time. You need to have that stretch beyond your means and fall on your face. You need to have that failure to be able to reach the success on the other side of that failure that actually means something.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes an awful lot of sense because you see, kids growing up that have that easy smartness about them, that easy intelligence, and things come easily to them, and they go through all of school getting A's and B's, and never really being challenged to go beyond, right? So they get into the work world or whatever, and if it doesn't come easily, they don't have the skill of perseverance to get them to where it becomes successful, where they've learned something new, where it works, right? It makes a whole
Exactly.
lot of sense.
Um, for me, in the book I wrote, and I got permission from John Maxwell's publishers to reference this, but I couldn't quote it.
Mm-hmm.
But John Maxwell talks about Abraham Lincoln. A lot of people know his failures in politics. A lot of people know his failures in business, but not many people know his failures in the military. Before he was President Lincoln, he was Private Lincoln. Because at this point, if you had the money and you had the people and the equipment, you could form your own militia.
Hmm.
He had his own militia. He was Captain Lincoln. He had everything he needed to be a great military captain, except one thing. Abraham Lincoln had no leadership ability. He couldn't do his job. So he worked down the ranking until he got to be a private.
Hmm.
He sucked at being a commander. He sucked at being an XO. He sucked at being a first sergeant, all down the ranking until he became a private. Now imagine if he had said, well, I've already failed once. If I try this leadership thing again, I'm going to fail again. He had every right to do so. That's what we may have done. That's what I may have done. But he said, even though I'm going to fail again, I'm going to keep going until I succeed.
Interesting. Interesting. Um, Similarly, along the same lines, George Washington, his first battle that he led his men into, they were massacred. And he carried
Mm-hmm.
that guilt for a lot of years. But without, I don't want to necessarily say a direct connection, without that failure, would we have the country that we have today? But it's
Exactly.
along those lines that you're talking about. He I'm sure learned a lot from that, and was able to bridge the gap between the failures from before and the success that created this great country. That's yeah. I wonder how many. Now that you've got me thinking about presidents, I wonder how many of them could actually fit into that same model where there's massive failure at the beginning and perseverance carried the day to where they became the leader of the free world.
I can't remember who it was that said it. I'm a huge quote collector, but sometimes even I don't remember who said it. In this case, I don't know who said it, but someone said that no worthwhile achievement was ever done without failing on the way.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I've heard that one before. I don't know if anybody knows who said it, but it's a good one.
It's a
Definitely a
good
good
one.
one.
Um, and the chapter directly after that chapter deals with how do you rebound from failure. And when I was younger and when I was in basic training, I was in good shape. I was in a lot better shape than I am now. Now I'm A shape. I'm round. But but then I was in really good shape. I could do handstand push-ups. I could run. I could do I could do all of the push-ups and sit-ups, and I was just in really good shape, or so I
Mhm.
thought.
Mhm.
At that time, the Army physical fitness test consisted of 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups, and then a 2-mile run. And to graduate basic training, you had to pass each of those with 60%. It became a numerical value that would add up to at least a score of 180 over the whole thing.
Mhm.
We're all confident we're gonna pass. We're gonna pass. And the drill sergeant said, most of you will fail. No, 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 not us. We're in good shape. Yes, us. My first APFD, I got 60% on the push-ups, 60% on the run, or 61% on the run, and then 59% on the sit-ups.
Oh.
And I was devastated. I was in such a bad shape, having the I'm a failure going through my mind.
Yeah.
And so the next day, I'm walking around the battalion area and I'm looking at my feet as I'm walking because I'm ashamed of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the drill sergeant says, "What are you doing?" So I stood parade rest with my arms behind me and I said, I failed the PT test, drill sergeant. He says, "So? How do you argue with so? How do you have a comeback for so?"
Without sounding like a whiny witch.
Exactly. And he said, almost everybody failed it. We told you you would fail it. We don't care what you do on your first PT test. We care what you do on the last one. Then he said, what was the event you failed? I said, I failed the sit-ups. So he gave me a plan. He said, I want you to do this. And it every time I went to use the restroom, they called the latrine. Every time I went to the latrine, do 20 sit-ups. Uh, um, every time you did this, do this exercise. And he gave me quite a few of them. And just randomly throughout the day, drop and do some type of exercise. And I can tell you that that's the only PT test that I ever failed in the Army. It's the only one. By the time I graduated basic training, I was at 90, 91, and 92.
That's
My
phenomenal.
total score was 273.
That's phenomenal. It makes all the difference in the world when you've got that kind of perspective. Right?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. And
A little funny story, a sidebar. One day I had just decided to drop and do a certain exercise called flutter kicks, where you're on your back with your hands underneath you, and your legs are doing kicks like this.
mm-hmm.
A drill sergeant comes along and says, "Who told you to do that?" And I kept going. "Nobody, drill sergeant. Nobody. Why are you doing it?" "I want to get in shape, drill sergeant." "Good job. Carry on."
Nice.
And he couldn't believe that I would just do this because I wanted to do it.
Right? You
Because
just
so
took
many
his best
people are just,
punishments away from him.
"I can't make you do that. Now you're enjoying it."
Right?
"Oh, you're doing something stupid. Now your punishment is you can't do push-ups." Really?
Yeah, that I don't think anybody's ever said that for sure. Now, tell me, let's talk again about the book a little bit. First of
Yes.
all, I want people to know that they can go get this on Amazon right now. It is out. Um, if you've got Kindle Unlimited, it's free at this time, correct?
Correct.
Is it still on the 99-cent introductory special? And do you know till when?
The 99 cents for the Kindle is permanent. I am not changing that.
Awesome.
Um, the I was advised to let that be an introductory rate and then raise that. And I said, no, this is not about making money, although I do have to pay the bills. This is not about making money. This is about affecting lives. If you've got Kindle Unlimited, go for it. It's on audible.com as well. If someone uses one of their credits to purchase it, I don't get anything from that. I don't care. This is all about helping people to overcome the obstacles that lead to suicidal thoughts. We're losing far too many veterans. We're losing far too many people every day to suicide. If we can do something to empower people, that's the mission.
That's a noble mission to have. Absolutely. Now, what about people who aren't necessarily veterans? This book isn't veteran specific, right? It will help other people, and like we talked about earlier, depression doesn't discriminate. But what other people do you think would benefit the most from this book?
Two categories of people will benefit most. Number one, anyone who is dealing with suicidal thoughts or has dealt with suicidal thoughts or ideations. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter if you're a veteran or not. If you have faced this book will help you. Number two, if you know someone who is dealing with this book also empowers you to reach out. Because saying as a two-time suicide survivor, we're not going to reach out to you if we need help. We're not. Imposter syndrome will keep us from doing that because we're going to think that you'll think we're a failure. They'll think I'm a fake. They'll think I'm a fraud. They'll think whatever. So we don't reach out. So it's not just empowering people who deal with this, it's empowering their friends and family to reach out and say, let me help you. And that's what you need to do. You can't say, send me a message if you need to talk. That does not work.
Yeah.
Send a message yourself. What can I do to help? Will you get pushback? Yes, you will. Keep at it and let them know I am here to help you.
And what are the best ways that people can help someone that they love that's dealing with suicidal thoughts and ideations? I, what are some of the
Start,
things that they can just take the initiative and do that should be helpful?
um, First of all, start the conversation. Like I said, they're not going to reach out. You need to start the conversation and listen. Do not minimize their struggles. Do not say, well, you know what? I've got it worse. Shut your mouth and listen. They don't, I can tell you from my own experience, anytime I open up to someone and they said, yeah, well, I've got it worse, or you've got it so easy, or whatever, I never opened up to that person again, ever, and still will not do so. There's people I'm thinking of right now that I know if I go to them and say, I'm dealing with this problem, yeah, well, I've got it worse, it's exactly what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
number
it's
one, start the conversation.
okay.
Number two, listen, really listen. And then number three, help them to understand that they can overcome this. Keep with the positive affirmations. It sounds like I'm trying to make this a lot simpler than it needs to be. This is really that simple. Someone who's dealing with this, they need to hear that you believe in them. And you really need to believe in them. Don't lie about this. They need to hear that you believe in them and you know that they can overcome this and you're going to help them. That's what you need to do. Be genuine, reach out and say, let me help you, and then positive feedback.
Awesome stuff. Awesome advice. Wonderful things. Now, do you happen to have any last couple of thoughts for the people who are watching today?
I do. Um, Number one, if you are dealing with the thought that the world would be better off without you here, no, that is a lie. This world is a better place because you are here. I'm going to say that one more time. This world is a better place because you are here. And number two, if you're watching this and you don't have anyone else to reach out to, go to facebook.com/find your personal mission. Send me a message. I may not answer right away. There's other things that I'm working on. As soon as I see it, I will respond. You say, well, what if I don't know you? I don't care. What if I don't like you? I don't care. There's people that I know that will never be my friend, but I've already told them I will sit and listen to you complain for an hour before I listen to your eulogy once. We're not going to be friends. That doesn't change it. But you are important. I want you to succeed. I want you to eat well. Maybe not at my table, but I want you to eat well. That's what I say to you. It doesn't matter if we don't know each other. It doesn't matter if we're not close personal friends. If you're not reaching out to me, reach out to someone because the world is a better place because you are here.
Thank you so much for who you are and what you bring to the conversation, James. It's an honor to
Thank
know
you.
you. And I wish you the best in everything. Everyone, please, right now, go to Amazon, grab this book. I hear by good authority that if you buy it directly from Find Your Personal Mission on Facebook, he'll send it to you signed. So check that out too. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you again, James, for being here. It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure, my friend. We finally got to get it done. That's fantastic.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. When you open yourself up to actual energy work, makes that recovery progress so much faster. That recovery is possible. You do not have to live as a victim until your last days. You have unbelievable strength, and I know that because you're still here. Do you want to create something completely unrecognizable?